Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and this one hurts me a bit. And it shows you the ludicrous, hypocritical nature of the culture that has been built around 2020 and this idea of cancel culture. Okay? Now, before we get into the fact that The Simpsons announced that they would have no longer Hank Azaria because he is not I guess an Indian man, because the decision is basically non-white characters will no longer be voiced by non-white actors. Or I'm sorry, yes, I think that's it. I think you're pretty much going to have to be the ethnicity you play in cartoons now. Cartoons which are pure fiction, okay? And then the Family Guy follows suit with Cleveland. Also, I guess, voiced by a white man. Now, number one, 99.9% of the people out there have no idea who voices these characters. It's geeks like me that, watch a panel of Simpsons voice actors. By the way, are we just going to cancel The Simpsons eventually because Bart is voiced by a woman? A child boy is voiced by a woman. I don't know. That sounds pretty gender problematic to me. But the big thing is the two characters we're talking about are intelligent, are morally good people throughout their tenure, and they're popular characters. And we're going to get into all that. We're going to get into cancel culture. We're going to go over the article. And I'm really going to implore people that even if you don't like our history, we shouldn't be burying it. We should be looking at it in context. And when we look at what The Simpsons is and what The Family Guy is, and we look at these other peripheral characters, they are far superior in intelligence and actions to the main protagonists that are middle-aged, dumb white men. That's the reality. So guys, I want to remind you, I am fully demonetized on this platform. Thumbs the video up, subscribe, and share before we get into it. $5, $10, $15 means the world to me. The GoFundMe is in the description below. We're hitting the end of the month, hoping to get it up a little bit more. And without further ado, let's talk about it. The Simpsons ditches having white actors play non-white characters, while actor who voices Cleveland on Family Guy steps down too. So I'm going to talk about Apu, because when I'm talking about breaking barriers, Apu is one of those characters. Okay? And the time in the late 80s was when The Simpsons comes on the scene. All right? Other than The Cosby Show, which is a show with Bill Cosby, who's now been convicted of sexually assaulting women, just throwing that out there, he plays a family man. Family doctor. And I would say America thought that was the apex of morality and exposure to a family of color. Because before that, you could argue maybe different strokes, but, with the patriarch rich white man that takes pity on the poor black children and brings them in. Well, we can't really even talk about that anymore in 2020, right? I'm sure Different Strokes is going to get canceled altogether. Why wouldn't it? But when we get into The Simpsons, one of my favorite, if not my favorite show of all time. I want to start with saying they represent white people yellow. So out of the gates, it's not like a racial thing. It's a cartoon. But then, to bring in other cultures and ethnicities, and by the way, exposing me to more of those cultures. I'm going to talk about that, especially with Apu. Okay? Now, Apu comes in, and he is, without a doubt, an 80s stereotype, especially in the beginning. He's running a gas station Quickie Mart. Now, that stereotype remains somewhat true today, and for me, especially the local grocery store, which was around the corner from a bar that had Yosemite Sam painted on it, by the way, with guns. with 6-shooters. Throwing that out there. The gentleman that ran it was, in fact, an Indian with an accent very much like Apu. And he and my father were friends, and we would go in there, and I specifically remember that's where I was introduced to really good, high-quality roast beef subs, and they were delicious. And as I watched The Simpsons, there's an episode where Apu ends up living with The Simpsons, right? And you find a little bit about his Hindu culture. And again, he's presented in a very positive manner. And for me, that was a step into when I would become, a teenager, go to high school, go into these global studies. And remember, this is pre-internet, guys. It's not like you just went on YouTube as a kid and you watched all these things. You had to be presented this with a VHS tape or a film reel when you were in school or in a library. Times were different. But everybody watched television. Now, later on, Apu, again, progresses as a character. First of all, he's a successful businessman. Number one, he's got his Corvette. He's got a home. He's got a business. It's a family business. Don't forget about Sanjay, right? Later on, he gets into a arranged marriage by his parents. Once again, are we allowed to even tackle that topic, even though it's a real one, right? And by the end of it, he's in a happy marriage. He has a bunch of children, and he's, generally doing the right thing and much more assertive and smart than the main character, Homer Simpson, who we all know is presented as the village idiot. As much as I love Homer and I love the show, that's the vehicle, right? So now let's move over to Cleveland, because you have a similar formula on the Family Guy. Now, they dare have white people white, by the way. And they're much more of a parody of, hardcore issues. Now, there's a neighborhood, and Cleveland is amongst them. So Peter is like Homer Simpson, dumb white guy, extreme, all right? And this show has all sorts of race jokes, you better believe it, sex jokes, obviously. But throughout it, Cleveland is never presented as some kind of a crazy stereotype, right? I wouldn't say so. Has a family. The interesting twist in his character plot as it goes on is that his wife actually cheats on him with Quagmire. So another very relatable thing. Somebody who has a family, thinks he's doing the right thing, and then his wife cheats on him anyway. He's got to start over. So out of that, the producers say, hey, let's make a show about this guy. And I loved the Cleveland show. I was a big fan. Very much so. Okay, and I remember the girl I was dating at the time, she loved it too. Shout out to Ashley. We had fun watching that show. It was a good show. It was positive. And again, it's him finding somebody else who has children from a previous relationship. And then, he's not really portrayed as the super idiot on that show, although he kind of does take on those wacky roles. But overall, again, a positive role model. Why are we taking these guys down? Because a white guy voiced them? Because we've made fun of stereotypes. Is Fat Tony next on The Simpsons? Are we not allowed to comment on Italian Americans and organized crime and the, not only the facts, but then the tropes based on that in our culture, from everything from TV series to movies? Who's next? Herschel Krostowski? How many jokes have The Simpsons made via Jewish culture? Jewish culture inside entertainment that many people, I guess, could say they find offensive. Krusty the Clown could get canceled next. When does it stop? I'm pretty sure whoever, I'm not sure actually if the actor that does Herschel Krostowski is indeed Jewish, but they keep moving the goalpost, and it's ridiculous. And these two characters especially, you know, they're on shows that I love. They promote a positive mention. They make us laugh, which is a good thing, right? And how far are we going to take this? I don't know. 2020 is a wild year, guys. So thumbs the video up, subscribe and share. Fight back against the cancel culture and the ludicrous nation that now animations, for some reason, have to be race specific. I saw somebody else step down from Big Mouth that was playing a half black, half white girl, and because she was not, she wanted to get out of there. It's over the top, guys. $5, $10, $15, it means the world to me. Big donors. Couldn't do it without you. Really gearing up to get out of New York State before it gets worse. We're hearing about the spikes. We're hearing about the shutdowns. Florida going further and further down that line. I mean, it's getting to madness. Make sure you're checking out my videos on these subjects. Make sure you understand that Dick Cheney and Joe Biden are good old boys that brought you the war on terror. And they were good old boys before that. They're establishment freak shows that need to be dealt with, not empowered further. And actually, my other video, prior to that, Politicians Must Be Reined In, this guy nails it, it is a great companion piece to that. So thumbs the video up, subscribe, share, join the Burmist Brigade. Remember, I am a documentary filmmaker. I think Invisible Empire and Shade the Motion Picture right now are extremely important. It's in the playlist section under documentaries. But if you're still naive about 9/11, Fabled Enemies to get you started, because you know about Joey B now, because you know about Joe Biden, and then check out some Loose Change for a little bit more of the hardcore stuff. You'll want to throw up in your mouth if you're unfamiliar with 9/11 and you watch Fabled Enemies, because you're going to just be like, wow, international intelligence operation, huh? Wow. Pakistani ISI? Oof. Israeli Mossad? Oh my goodness. Shadow government? Internal drills? And that's just the beginning. So make sure to check those out in the playlist section. Check me out over on Rockfin where you can support me. Remember, you can just follow me over on Rockfin. And on Tuesdays at noon, we give away a free live stream. Everybody can get involved. I'm going to be doing more and more live streams on Rockfin as they roll out more and more features. I really love that platform. And check me out over on Minds as well. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the flip side.